Take a look around next time you're out, or maybe just in your own living room. How many people do you see staring at a screen? Phones, tablets, laptops? It's constant, isn't it?
It really is.
And maybe you felt it too, that fatigue, that blurriness after a long day just immersed in the digital world. It really brings into focus how much our modern lives impact our eyes.
Oh, definitely. And it's more than just a feeling. This pervasive digital interaction is a major force shaping markets you might not even consider daily, markets that are seeing truly explosive growth.
Absolutely. And today we're taking a deep dive into one of those markets, the world of nearsighted glasses. We've got our hands on a market research report that lays out some absolutely, well, wild numbers. It traces the trajectory from 2021 all the way out to 2033.
Right. And our mission with this deep dive is to go beyond just, reading the figures. We want to unpack the really important insights from this report, understand the staggering scale of the trends it identifies.
Pinpoint the key growth engines driving this expansion.
Exactly. And connect it all back to why it's happening.
We want this deep dive to be your shortcut to getting a clear picture of this rapidly expanding sector. We'll look at the global scale, zoom into the regional hotspots, and see how it's all tied to those fundamental drivers the report highlights right up front.
Things like evolving lifestyles, that ever-increasing exposure to digital screens we just mentioned.
And, of course, the rising prevalence of vision impairments worldwide.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the truly headline numbers from the report, because they really tell a story of incredible transformation.
They really do. In 2021, according to the source material, the global market for nearsighted glasses was valued at $241.3 million. Significant, sure, but maybe not top of mind for most people.
Right, but here's where it gets really interesting. The report doesn't just project steady growth, it forecasts a massive leap. By 2025, that number is expected to skyrocket to over $18.8 billion.
Wait, hold on. Let me just process that. From 241 million to over 18 billion.
Billion, yes.
In just 4 years.
Yeah.
That's not growth. That's a market fundamentally resetting itself. A near 80-fold increase.
Precisely. And the report suggests this isn't just some short-term spike either. The forecast continues its strong upward trend, reaching over $37.3 billion by 2033.
So, okay, the market is projected to grow by a factor of over 150 times between 2021 and 2033. And it does, 80% of that growth in absolute dollar terms just between 2021 and 2025. That initial surge is just phenomenal. What on earth is fueling a trajectory that steep?
Well, that kind of rapid sustained expansion, it's reflected in a global compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 8.9%. And it's directly linked back to those drivers we mentioned earlier. Think about how quickly digital habits have solidified globally just in the last few years.
Right.
Plus, there's increasing awareness and diagnosis of vision issues like myopia and shifts in global demographics, access to eye care. The report sees these factors all converging to create this massive acceleration.
Okay, those global numbers are absolutely compelling. They paint a picture of a market undergoing a seismic shift. But to really understand how this transformation is happening, we probably need to look closer, region by region.
Definitely.
See where the engine of this growth is, revving the fastest.
And what's fascinating here is how differently the growth is playing out regionally. It really highlights specific dynamics and opportunities worldwide.
And according to this report, leading the charge in terms of
Absolutely.
anticipated growth anyway,
Yeah.
is the Asia-Pacific region.
Yes, Asia-Pacific. It's expected to see the highest growth rate with a 9.3% CAGR, and the sheer scale of its contribution is remarkable, starting at $91.7 million in 2021. Its projected revenue jumps to nearly $7.6 billion by 2025.
Wow.
And it's forecast to exceed $15.4 billion by 2033. It's rapidly becoming the dominant force in this market. It'll account for, almost half of the global value by the end of the forecast period.
That's huge. Given the size of that market, which countries within Asia-Pacific are the real powerhouses driving that surge?
China is clearly the largest market within the region. It's predicted to grow from about $37.9 million in 2021 to over $6.4 billion by 2033. That's with a strong 9.4% CAGR, a massive piece of the pie, as you said.
That makes sense, yeah, given China's population and rapid development.
Absolutely. But here's a particularly striking insight from the report. India is identified as the single fastest growing market globally within the source material.
Really, fastest growing globally.
Yep. Its CAGR is an impressive 10.4%, and it's forecast to increase from $16.2 million in 2021 to over $3.1 billion by 2033.
Wow. Okay, what could be driving that kind of acceleration in India specifically, even faster than China or other large economies?
Well, the report links it generally to the same drivers: increased digital adoption, rising awareness, access to care. But the rate suggests perhaps a confluence of factors, maybe a younger demographic coming online rapidly, a
Hmm.
significant expansion in healthcare infrastructure reaching more people,
Hmm.
or maybe even changing cultural perceptions around wearing glasses. It just highlights that these fundamental trends are perhaps hitting a steeper part of the adoption curve in India right now. And we also see strong growth across the rest of the region, too. Countries like Australia showing a 9.1% CAGR. Southeast Asia projected to reach over $2.4 billion by 2033. So the trend is widespread.
Okay. So moving over to North America then, how does its growth compare to Asia Pacific's explosive trajectory?
North America.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
Compared to Asia Pacific's explosive trajectory.
North America is also a major market, definitely seeing robust growth, though, yes, at a slightly slower regional pace than Asia Pacific. It's got an 8.7% CAGR. Its revenue trajectory goes from $65.4 million in 2021 to over $5 billion in 2025, and reaching over $9.7 billion by 2033.
Still very significant.
Oh, absolutely. A significant contributor, but perhaps reflecting a more maybe mature stage of these lifestyle shifts compared to parts of Asia.
And within North America, the U.S. is used as the largest component, right?
It is. The United States is the largest market there, growing from $53.1 million in 2021 to over $7.5 billion by 2033. That's an 8.1% CAGR. Canada also shows strong growth at 9.5%.
Is there a standout in North America like India was globally? A particularly fast grower?
Actually, yes. The report points to Mexico as having the highest CAGR in North America at 10.7%.
Higher than India's rate.
Even higher, yeah. It starts from a smaller base, of course, about $5.5 million in 2021, but it's projected to pass the billion-dollar mark by 2033.
That's another unexpected hotspot then. What might explain that acceleration there?
Again, the report points to the general drivers, but the higher CAGR in Mexico suggests, well, perhaps a faster pace of digital integration among the population, combined with maybe improving access to vision care services compared to previous years.
Right.
It just shows these global trends aren't uniform. Local factors really influence the speed.
Fascinating. Okay, let's jump across the Atlantic to Europe. How's this market performing over there?
Europe is another substantial market. It's tracking pretty closely with North America in terms of overall regional growth rate, also showing an 8.7% CAGR. Its revenue is forecast to climb from $57.4 million in 2021 to over $4.4 billion in 2025, and projected to exceed $8.6 billion by 2033.
Okay. Are certain European countries seeing particularly strong growth within that regional picture?
Yes, the report highlights the UK as having the highest KGR among the major European markets. That's at 9.7%.
Okay.
Germany is also very strong at 9.2%. Other significant economies like France, Italy, Spain, they show solid growth rates in the low to mid 8% range, and Luxembourg is noted with a 9.1% CAGR.
So it indicates that even in, established markets, these trends are leading to significant expansion.
Exactly. It's a widespread acceleration across the continent, even with some variations in speed.
And this pattern of growth, driven by specific hotspots, it extends to other regions as well.
It does, yeah.
Could you give us just a quick overview of South America and the Middle East Africa?
Yeah, certainly. In South America, the report identifies Brazil as the largest market and the fastest grower among those mentioned. It has an 8.7% CAGR, mirroring the overall regional growth rate of North America and Europe, interestingly. Other countries listed like Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, they're seeing solid growth too, ranging from about 7.9% to 8.7%.
Okay.
And for the Middle East and Africa, Egypt stands out with a strong 9.3% CAGR, closely followed by Turkey at 9.2%. The rest of the Middle East shows a more moderate, but still significant, 7.9% CAGR.
So it seems no matter where you look globally, the story is clearly one of significant, sometimes really explosive, growth in the need for nearsighted glasses.
Right. And if we connect all these numbers and regional variations back to the bigger picture, the report is pretty unequivocal. This surge is a direct consequence of how we live now.
Yeah.
The rise in screen time leading to digital eye strain, improved access to eye care, allowing more diagnoses, and just a growing global awareness about maintaining vision health. These aren't just abstract concepts. They are the tangible forces driving this market transformation.
It really does align with personal observation, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Think about your own daily life, the screen time you log, or how much more you hear about eye health now compared to maybe 10 or 20 years ago.
Absolutely. As our lives become so tethered to screens, the need for vision correction, or at least addressing the symptoms of strain, has just escalated dramatically. And the report highlights that this isn't just a health trend, it's creating significant economic ripple effects.
Which raises an important question. What are the practical implications of this massive accelerating market expansion? The report identifies substantial opportunities arising directly from this growth.
And who stands to benefit most, according to the source material?
Mhm.
Who are the players here?
Well, the report points to opportunities across the entire value chain, really. Eyewear manufacturers, obviously, who design and produce the lenses and frames.
Right.
Optical retailers, whether they're brick-and-mortar stores or online shops. And healthcare providers like optometrists and ophthalmologists who are, on the front lines of diagnosis and prescription.
So the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. The entire ecosystem supporting corrective vision is seeing a boom fueled by this global trend.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up. We've seen the incredible global trajectory jumping from millions to billions in just a few years and still climbing fast. We've explored the regional hotspots, with Asia-Pacific leading the charge, and specific countries like India and Mexico showing particularly rapid acceleration, likely driven by the intense pace of lifestyle and tech adoption shifts.
Yeah, the core takeaway from this report is crystal clear. The nearsighted glasses market is in the midst of a dramatic, globally distributed surge. It's a transformation directly linked to how we engage with technology and our increasing attention to health. This isn't marginal growth. It's a market set to more than double in value after it's already seen that huge 80-fold increase by 2025. It's staggering.
So given the profound role screen time and modern lifestyles seem to play in driving this market to such, well, staggering heights, what does this rapid increase in the global need for nearsighted glasses ultimately tell us about the evolving relationship between our health, our constant interaction with technology, and maybe how we value and protect our ability to see clearly in the years to come?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It's certainly a lot to think about as the world and our vision continues to change.
Okay, let's jump in. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something you might not immediately think of as this super dynamic market, but it really is nearsighted glasses.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been looking through the sources you sent, and the forces shaping this industry right now are, well, they're powerful.
Definitely. And it feels timely, with digital lifestyles, screens everywhere, and what seems like more and more people needing vision correction.
Exactly. There's this accelerating demand for myopia solutions, and glasses are, like, right at the center of it all.
So our goal today is to really unpack why that demand is growing so fast, but also look at, the roadblocks, the challenges.
And some really interesting trends that are changing things. Stuff I wasn't fully expecting.
Me neither. It's about way more than just getting a new prescription. Ready to get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first big question based on the material. Why is demand for nearsighted glasses speeding up so much globally?
Well, the most significant factor seems to be the growing prevalence of myopia itself. It's just becoming much more common worldwide.
And that's across all ages, right? Not just kids.
Yeah, exactly. Kids, adults, everyone. The sources even use the term myopia epidemic, which, wow, that really paints a picture of the scale.
An epidemic.
Yeah.
That hits home. And the reasons listed, they make...
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
An epidemic.
Yeah.
That hits home. And the reasons listed, they make intuitive sense with modern life.
Totally. Things like more urban living, obviously the way more screen time.
Phones, computers, tablets, all day long for many people.
Right. And coupled with maybe less time spent outdoors, those shifts seem to be the key drivers.
Our eyes are adapting or maybe struggling with all that close-up focus.
Seems like it. And that directly fuels the demand for correction, for glasses.
Now, there are other ways to correct vision, but the sources really emphasize something basic about glasses.
Their affordability and accessibility, that's huge.
Compared to LASIK, say, or even contacts sometimes, glasses are often the most cost-effective route.
Often, yes. Especially that initial cost. And that makes a massive difference, particularly in emerging economies or for lower-income groups everywhere.
So for millions, they're not just an option, they're really the main practical solution.
Absolutely. The go-to choice.
And then there's the public health angle. The sources mention things like government programs, awareness campaigns.
Yeah, school vision screenings, policies promoting eye care, that kind of thing.
And that leads to, well, it leads to earlier diagnosis, doesn't it? Getting kids, especially, checked sooner.
Precisely. Which means getting prescriptions filled earlier.
Hmm.
It integrates glasses more into daily life, not just as a fix, but almost as a preventative health tool in a way, correcting vision early.
Okay, so that's the push. More people needing correction, easier access, earlier diagnosis. But it's not all straightforward growth, is it? What about the challenges?
No, definitely not. There are headwinds. One big one is consumer preference shifting towards alternatives.
Right, like the ones you mentioned earlier, LASIK, contacts. What was the other one? Ortho.
Orthocratology, yeah, those special overnight lenses. The sources suggest these are gaining traction, especially with younger people, maybe professionals.
Yeah. People who perhaps don't want to wear glasses all the time for work or lifestyle reasons.
Exactly. So that could potentially mean less long-term reliance on traditional glasses for some segments of the population.
Interesting. And then there's something more perceptual, the stigma issue.
Yeah, it's still a thing, apparently. Despite all the cool frame designs now, some people, and the sources mentioned teens and young adults particularly, might still feel, I don't know, less confident or associate glasses with an image they don't want.
It's fascinating how that social aspect can actually discourage use, even when someone medically needs them.
It really is. It affects adherence, you know.
And then just the practical headaches. Glasses can break, lenses get scratched.
Oh, yeah. They can be fragile. Anyone with active kids knows that pain. Or playing sports.
And the cost of repairs, replacements,
Yeah.
it adds up. That can be a real financial burden, especially if you're already on a tight budget or don't have easy access to affordable eye care.
Definitely a practical restraint. So you got this strong underlying demand, but it's bumping up against these other factors, alternatives, image concerns, and just the physical reality of wearing glasses.
Right. Okay, so those are the challenges. But let's shift to the really transformative stuff, the trends that are reshaping things. This is where it gets quite exciting, I think.
Agreed. And a huge one is the whole fashion statement aspect.
Totally.
Yeah.
Glasses moving from purely medical devices to, like, genuine accessories.
People embracing them to show personality, enhance their look. You see bolder colors, designer brands getting heavily involved.
It's a complete flip in perception for many. No longer something to hide, but something to showcase.
Mm-hmm. And tied into our screen-heavy lives again, there's the trend of advanced lens coatings.
Ah, yes. The blue light filters, UV protection. That seems almost standard now, doesn't it?
Increasingly, yes, because people are spending so much time on digital devices, they're looking for more than just clear vision.
You want comfort, right?
Yeah.
Less eye strain.
Exactly. So the lenses themselves become multifunctional. It adds another layer of value, making glasses more appealing, even beyond the basic need for correction.
And the last big trend the sources highlighted, this is a game changer, I think. The digital revolution in how we actually buy them.
Oh yeah, online optical retail, virtual try-on tools.
It's kind of amazing sitting at home using your webcam to see how dozens of frames look on your face.
Some platforms even use AI, apparently, to suggest styles based on your features. It makes it super convenient, removes a lot of the old friction.
You don't necessarily need that trip to the store anymore, at least not for browsing and trying things on.
Right. And that's clearly boosting online sales, especially among younger, tech-comfortable consumers. It's broadening the market's reach in a big way.
So wrapping this deep dive up, it's clear the nearsighted glasses market isn't simple at all. It's incredibly dynamic.
Yeah, you've got this potent mix driving it. The fundamental medical need, which is growing.
Fueled by lifestyle changes, helped by public health efforts.
Then layered with fashion sensibilities, turning glasses into desirable objects.
And then turbocharged by technology that's changing how we shop for and customize them. It's quite the evolution.
It really is. From basic need to tech-enabled fashion accessory, almost. It shows how even something seemingly traditional keeps adapting.
Okay, so here's something to think about after all this. Consider how this product, the simple pair of glasses, something so familiar, is being completely redefined. It's not just about seeing better anymore.
Right. It's tangled up with public health goals, fashion cycles, digital innovation.
So the final thought for you listening is, if something as established as eyeglasses can undergo such fundamental changes driven by society, technology, and even self-perception, what does that tell you about the potential for any product or service to evolve? How might other seemingly basic things in our lives be reshaped by these kinds of forces?
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.